Hey there, Abiding fam, and welcome back to my channel, or hello if you're new. I'm so excited to be expanding our family, and I welcome you to this video as we set up my 2019 bullet journal. It's hard to believe that it's time to be setting up a new bullet journal system for a new year already, but alas, 2018 is officially behind us, and so it is time to grab a cup of tea and settle down with our journals as we set up for a whole new year. Now, before we jump into all of the fun new spreads I created for 2019, I do want to encourage you to check out my 2018 flip through. I'll have it linked in the cards. I have lots of other fun spreads for you to check out there. Alright, so with my tea in hand, it was time to create the first page I always go to, which is my cover page. So for this one, I decided to divide the page up into fours to help guide me, and then I did 2 rings, and within those rings, using my compass, I am doing little doodles to create essentially a wreath of doodles, and in each of the 4 squares is going to be a different season. So right now I'm doing winter, so you can see I did a little hat, a scarf, some snowflakes, mittens, and all sorts of fun winter things, and then I continued that all the way around into the different seasons. So I did winter, then spring, then summer, then fall, with doodles related to each of those seasons within one of the 4 blocks. And as you can see, I'm staying within those guidelines I created using my pencil at the beginning, so that I eventually have created an entire wreath using these doodles. This is a really fun and easy technique to do just simple doodles within a shape. In this case, I'm doing a ring or a wreath, but you can change it up by doing a letter or even trying to do little doodles within the numbers of 2019. Could be a really cool effect as well. I then went in with my number stencil, which, as you guys know, if you've been with me, is my favorite stencil of all time, and wrote out 2019 with a little shadow effect. I loved this wreath so much that I decided to make it a free printable for you guys over on my Patreon page. So all you have to do is check out the link that I have down below, and you can get this for free for your own journal. My next entry is going to be my future log, or year at a glance, and this entry is basically just a nice way to be able to look ahead at months that are coming. Especially if you're doing a bullet journal, you tend to just be working within the month you're currently in, and this gives you a space to write down things that are way out there in the future. So for this page, I thought it would be fun if I did a little watercolor effect for the banners at the top. So the way I did this is I used a water-soluble marker, in this case Commodore brush pens, and put it on a Ziploc bag and then wetted it. And then you just smash it down and it creates this really neat little watercolor background. After the background's dried, I decided to go in with my Kokoro brush pen to write out the different headers of the months. And as you can see here, I am doing this one in real time just to show you that brush lettering is typically a slow process, despite the fact that we often speed up our videos and it seems like, oh, it's so easy for us. In fact, even those who are experienced with brush lettering, it takes a long time. That's just the way the practice works. And if you're interested in that pen, I do have an entire video about my favorite journaling products that no one ever talks about, and I do talk about that pen specifically in more detail over in that video, so I highly recommend you check it out. Here I'm using that same Kokoro pen to do little lines at the top and bottom. Originally I was thinking I would just have these lines for a nice clean look, but I didn't like it as much as I thought, so I decided to do full out blocks then to put in the dates and events coming up that I want to reference. And then whatever those dates are, I will highlight them within the mini calendar as well. So there is the finished spread. I love the way it turned out, and it's a great spread for putting down any events that are coming up, and maybe you're not yet at that month. And I left this page blank because I'm going to do the other 6 months, but I didn't want to bore you with a whole other spread that's going to look exactly the same. So I just decided to move on, and in this case we are now working on my goals page. And once again, I wanted to show you with the Kokoro pen a real-time version of my hand lettering. In this case, I'm writing out 20, not that you can tell because I'm left-handed and when I write, I cover up exactly what I'm writing, which is partially why I don't do many hand lettering videos, though I do have 2 videos on brush lettering if you're interested on my channel, so I will have them linked for you. Now we're in a more sped up version in writing out 19. Now originally I wanted to write out goals in a normal print font, but as it turns out, even though I might be good at cursive, which is kind of ironic, I am horrible at print, and so I gave up on that and decided to just write out goals in cursive, stick within my wheelhouse. Sometimes it's just easier to not try and branch out. So I wrote out goals, and then I did this fun effect for a hand lettered piece where you just kind of outline the shape of the letters, and I think that adds a cool bubble effect. And I also did a little bit of shadowing as well, in which you basically just pick one side of the letter and you do another line down using often a different color, though it doesn't have to be. Now for this page, I decided to keep it simple and just divide it into my personal goals and my business goals. So on each side of the page, I'll take some time to write down what I want to accomplish in 2019. My next spread is a new one for me, and I'm really excited about it. It's essentially like a level 10 life spread, though I ended up just doing 8 different areas of my life that I want to work on, and it makes it really easy for me to track because I can then just create this little box as I'm doing here on the left. And this box I'm then going to divide into 8 different little sections which are going to represent each of the areas of my life that I want to be working on being better in. So the way I made that box is it's just 4 by 4 inches or 10 of the little dot spaces. And that's really important that it be 10 dot spaces because if you want to do a scale of 10, that's what's going to make the most sense for you to then fill it out, as you're going to see in a little bit here. So then I made these little banners on the right, and that's where I'm writing each of the areas of my life that I want to work on, such as my health, my faith, my relationships with others, my finances, my career and my work, my self-care, my personal development, and then my marriage. Since I am getting married in 2019, it's something that I definitely am going to want to be focusing a lot of my energy into. At the top of the page, I wrote becoming because for me, that's what this page is all about. It's about becoming the best version of myself. So at the bottom, I just did a little quote. It says, "Don't just wake up and think about the woman you want to become. Wake up and be her." So using my mild liner highlighters, I am color coding all of the different areas of my life that I'm working on in 2019. And then these colors are going to be how I rate myself over in that little chart on the left. And as you can see on the left, I also have each of those areas listed next to one of the wedges. So each little wedge is assigned to one area of my life. And then what I do is I go around at the beginning of the year, so that's now, and I rate myself in each of those 8 areas in how I'm doing. So for example, in health, I gave myself a 5 because that's been a priority for me lately. But self-care, I gave myself a 2 because I was a little bit of a workaholic in 2018, and it's something I really want to improve on. And then over on the right, I have what is my action plan. So I didn't quite fill this in yet, but essentially next to each of those little banners, I'm going to list some things that I can do to help myself become better in those areas. And then at the bottom, I'm creating a place where I can self-evaluate after each quarter of the year and decide how I've improved, or hopefully not, but potentially worsened in each of these areas. So I put in my ratings for currently at the beginning of 2019, and then I'm going to go back and fill it out for quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and of course at the end of the year. If you wanted, you could just do the right-hand page and that would work fine, but I really love the way that the left-hand page looks with that little wheel as well. My next entry is going to be my all-time favorite, as always, my book log. Last year, I read 32 books, and I was obsessed with my bookshelf that I created that has all of the covers printed out in little mini form, and that's how I kept track of my books in 2018. And I loved it so much that I just couldn't part with that system. So I'm doing it again in 2019. If you want to see what that finished entry looked like, I highly recommend you check it out in my 2018 flip through. It is worth the visit to that video, trust me. So for this one, I'm doing it a little differently than the last one though. I decided to just do a full-blown bookcase, and I used this really fun wooden washi tape to create the look of a wooden bookcase. I also used my Tombow brush markers to put in the little shelves down the middle. And then I did have 3 little printouts of the Narnia books because that's what I'm currently reading, and I know that I'm going to finish them first in 2019. I wanted to make this bookcase extra fun too, with a few little details as well, little accessories that you might have displayed on your bookcase. In this case, a globe, a little vase with some flowers, and of course, a cat. You can't not have a cat hanging out on your bookcase. I also did a little picture frame at the bottom, and then I just can't wait to see how this spread looks when it is full of all of my favorite reads of 2019 hanging out on the shelves. It's such a fun way to record your books that you read, and I highly recommend it. This next page is going to be my movies page for 2019. In this case, it's just going to be movies that Ben and I, or anyone I guess, but typically it's Ben and me who go and see them together, that I see in theaters. And so I created this little film strip, which was super easy to do just using my black Tombow marker, and then wrote out movies within the little boxes, wrote out 2019, and then around it is where I'm going to paste in any movie stubs that I get. My next entry was super simple. I'm kind of tiring out by this point, I must be honest, so it just gets simpler and simpler as I go. In this case, I'm doing a places I traveled in 2019. For our honeymoon, we are going to St. Lucia, so I'm really excited about that in July. But I'm sure that there's going to be lots of little trips as well. It's a great spread just to record any trips that you do in the year. So I just kept it simple with a little plain doodle and then that fun sticker as well that says my favorite thing to do is go where I've never been. This next entry is something new for me as well, and I kept it really simple, like I said, tiring out at this point. So I just wrote "Tell me more" and then did a little border around it, and this is going to be a spread where I write down any recommendations I get from other people, whether that's for books or movies, so that I remember to check them out later. My next entry that I'm doing over here, as you can see, I folded the page in half, and I'm now doing a little notes page. So this is just a fun way to create a place to write in notes. And I like to do the little folded corner look where you just don't quite go all the way to the end of the rectangle, but instead go across and then create the little triangle to make it look like the page is folded. And in that place, I'm going to write YouTube video ideas. So I just am labeling it now using some different markers. And I liked the idea of doing a black strip and then going over it with my white Jelly Roll pen. A tip when writing with white pen over a dark surface is a lot of times you need to let it dry before going over it again. If you go back and forth, you're going to just pick up the pigment that you already put down. My next entry is going to be a tracker for my YouTube and my Patreon pages. So this is just a nice way to keep track of my growth over time. We are so close to 10,000 subscribers here in our abiding family, and I am unbelievably grateful to all of you for being a part of this family. It means the absolute world to me. So thank you for your amazing support in that way. And a special, amazing, wonderful thank you to my patrons for making it possible for me to commit the amount of time that I do to YouTube. I do get a very small kickback from YouTube for the content I create through their ads service, but ultimately, the payment that I get for creating this free content all the time is through my patrons, and I'm so grateful for that support. I couldn't do it without them, and I really look forward to growing our family over there in 2019 as well. So those are all of my spreads for 2019, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up and leave me a comment what was your favorite entry from my video, and also let me know what your favorite new entry you're including in your journal is down in the comments as well. I'd love to hear from you. And I really just can't wait to begin 2019 together, guys. We have so much more to explore in this abiding community, and I love that I get to do it with you. So with that said, fam, I hope your year is full of abiding creativity, joy, and love, and I can't wait to see you in my next video.